Mason.
Mr. Klaus.
You want to hear a story?
Sure.
Last week had a realization that it's been almost 10 years since I first started working in the trades. It was back in 2014.
Which was, how old were you?
I was 16 years old.
Yeah, you were 16 and I was having my first child. But carry on.
It was a summer job for the general contractor I work with currently. And two of my cousins had worked with him for the summers previous to that. So I was like, well, hey, like I'll give it a shot. And then worked off and on with him that summer. Enjoyed it. He was a cool guy. Still is a cool guy.
Can I ask you, before, did you have any interest in construction work?
Looking back at it now, even when like there'd be people who came over to the house to like work on the house, I was always like super curious about what they were doing, stuff like that. Or like when I was 5 years old, I got given a shovel for my birthday so that we could go dig in the backyard. Or there was a Christmas where we got a tool set with a hammer and nails and 2x4s. So my dad taught us like how to nail things together, stuff like that. So there were certain like key things where looking back, I'm like, okay, I can see how these things were just laid in almost like the subconscious. And then when I was graduating high school in 2015, didn't have the money to go to college, didn't want to go to college. And so it was, okay, it is time to go get a job. The guy who I had worked for the previous summer, he had gotten his general contractor's license at that time. And he was looking, he needed some help. He had a guy already with him full time. And then I got brought on at $10 an hour, which was a $2 increase for me from the summer before. So nice. I was pretty dang happy, but I'm pretty sure that was minimum wage at the time. So
or under.
No, it was, I'm pretty sure it was right at, or maybe minimum wage was still $8 an hour. Either way, okay. We were right there. And then my whole plan at that time was to work with him a couple of years, and then possibly go to the military, and then kind of like just go from there. That's kind of, it was more something to do, make money, be an upstanding citizen or whatever that meant, and move on. But ended up really enjoying what I was doing inside the trade. So the military idea kind of faded a little bit just because I was doing something that I enjoyed. About 4 years into that, decided to switch gears a little bit. There was a window and door company that we had built out their showroom, and I had done some work on the side for those guys where they'd call me up like, hey, we're adjusting this thing in our showroom with the display or changing an office thing. And on one of those occasions, one of the owners said to me, hey, if you're ever looking for a job, let us know. We'd be happy to have you. That was in February. In June, I came on board with them, spent about, I think it was about a year with them. And then there were some friends of mine that, Nick Carlisle, he was in real estate, and I heard that he was doing pretty well. And I heard about how he was trying to maintain a certain amount of hours that he worked a week. And I looked at it as, well, that's more money than almost most of the people that I know are making around me. And if he's doing it with just roughly like putting in just a full-time job, I'm willing to work more than that. The jobs that I've had were working more than that. So let's go blow the doors off the real estate industry and just make a shit ton of money. So also at the time, I had a boss at the window and door company that was not a huge fan of. He wasn't a great leader in that position. There were certain things that he was good at in his role. In terms of leadership, he wasn't great, so it kind of helped make my decision that I'm going to probably move on from that. I loved so many people at that company, the amount of relationships that I created. I had one of the guys there, he came to my wedding just because we became such great friends during that time. I'm good friends with the owners of that company. I've got two of my best friends are employees at the company. So I love that window and door company. It was more just an opportunity thing, and then also didn't like my boss. And so it's like, I need to go somewhere else and pursue that. So got the real estate license, moved on, which I should back up and say around that time too, I also started looking around and saying, what's the cap on how much money I could make inside the trades? And at that time, I was making around $40,000 a year. And when I was doing my assessment, I figured the cap I could make was around $60,000 a year as an employee. So that's when I heard that I could make more than that in real estate. I was like, let's go make money. But I didn't, I knew that people could make more in the trades than that, but they had to be owners of a company. And I didn't really have the interest to go become an owner of a construction company or an owner of a company. Here's kind of the funny, stupid thing. I got my real estate license. I signed up with the Hamblin team here to come on board. And then like 2 weeks before I'm starting full-time here, I had this biggest, like, you're an idiot moment where I realized, dude, you are starting a business and you just don't realize it because you're calling yourself a realtor, not I'm starting a business. So there was a part of me for a second where I was like, I really should have just started a construction business because that's what I know.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're here with the Hamblin team. And then first year, just essentially like you're learning, getting a couple transactions underneath your belt, the training splits and the just how they break down. Like you don't make a ton of money because you're just trying to understand the lay of the land. Next year, beginning of the year, I did pretty decently well in like a 45-day period, and then started having people reach out about construction stuff like that they needed done. I had some people reach out before that, but all of a sudden it started to get like it was off and on. This all of a sudden became a lot busier. So started doing that and real estate at the same time. Thought, all right, do we have an avenue where these cross over together? I'm going to be doing both of these long term. And then decided, you know what, like I've got the real estate license. Let's get a general contractor's license as well. So bought the books, got signed up for the course and all that good stuff, and started studying for that. Well, August of last year, all my construction side work grinded to a halt after like 3 months of it being consistent, where I almost had like a full-time job just doing the construction stuff and real estate going at the same time. Like it was super cool. I was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm doing it. Things grinded to a halt, and part of when I had made a decent amount of money at the beginning of the year, I had also spent a decent amount of money at the beginning of the year between taxes, buying some things, stuff like that. So August construction stopped for me. September real estate was my last transaction, and then nothing was moving. So in November, kind of had a come to Jesus moment with the bank account that things were quickly running towards zero. So reached out. I had a meeting planned with the general contractor I used to work for, and we sat down, and he asked me, and I thought it was funny. He's like, so is this meeting about business or just hanging out? And I was like, well, it was just supposed to be just kind of hanging out, catching up, but actually it's going to be business. So asked how his business was going. They were going gangbusters, and I let him know, well, I need a job right now. So jumped back in with him December of 2022. And then that December and then January really felt like I had taken just a huge kick in the nuts as far as I felt. Well, I'd say November through January felt like I had taken a huge kick in the nuts, feeling like I just failed inside of real estate. And that sucked. It wasn't anyone's fault essentially but my own, but I felt like, man, like there's people who are asking like, hey, how's real estate going? It's like, I'm not doing that anymore. and having to then explain to them, it's like, well, why is that? And it's like, I could explain it was my fault and I did that. So that was kind of I screwed up tour that was not fun. But what was kind of funny that all the construction side work that had stopped, and then also some of the real estate transactions that had stopped, I started getting phone calls. So I had 2 people in real estate that I closed beginning of the year, and I was like, all right, I think that's it for real estate, because all of a sudden the side work for construction, people started reaching out. So started getting some momentum there, had the wedding coming up, and then at a certain point decided, all right, you know what? I had set the general contractor's course down for a while because confidence was smashed for a while, and just was like, that's not something I want to focus on. Like, didn't seem in the realm of possibility, didn't have the money for it, and I need to be focusing on other areas, but ended up picking up the course again, and then started applying myself more diligently to that this time than the previous time, and got a kick in the ass from Paul French. He's a gentleman from the window and door company. He's one of the owners over there. And I went and took my test in September, passed my test, and then I put together my application to the Arizona Registrar of Contractors. And as of, I think it was November 6th of this year, Sledgehammers in the Office is now a licensed general contractor in the state of Arizona.
Mic drop.
Yeah. So that's a longer story than usual, but
You forgot the time in between where I'm like, dude, just go fucking get it. Dude, just study for it.
yep. Yeah. There was that. Mason,
Was being a pest.
no, you were being correct. And I think there's a period in real estate where I set the standard and the bar for what I needed to be doing on a day-to-day too low for myself. And a part of that was how I approached getting the general contractor's license when I tried the first time. Yeah. And that's why you were like, hey, just keep going, finish it out, just study it. And at that point, I think I was just like, dude, I can't even think about this right now.
Yeah. I mean, an outsider looking in, this is anything in life. Like, you can't have one foot in, not even 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You can't have both feet, in 2 different areas.
Yep.
You got to make a decision. Otherwise,
Yep.
one will fail. And now you know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Fucking sucks.
Yeah. And the stupid part is, like, I knew that. I could tell people that. But I was trying to pretend in my brain that real estate and construction had enough crossover that everything was fine. And what I was doing made sense because I had this big plan for how they would cross over in the future and all these things. And then they both didn't work because I didn't put enough work into either of them. Mm-hmm. So.
And you saw the ultimate consequence, 0 on both sides
for
a while.
Yeah. So I feel like the big learning thing that I had out of the whole experience was, one, understanding when you have a decent amount of money at one point, that might mean that there's going to be another point where you don't have as much income. So steward that wisely. And then also I need to be more on top of my day-to-day and making sure that there's a lot of work that goes into that, because in construction, I'll work a 12, 13-hour day. That's fine. That's easy. Put me on the job site, but there's stuff where it's like that's the killing part of it. The hunting part where it's like getting the leads, working with the customers, getting the stuff like that. That's the part where I needed to really start putting on the focus.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, broader perspective is you were younger though. Everybody goes trying to figure out what you're trying to do. You just had the real experience of the grass isn't really greener on the other side kind of moment,
Yep.
I think you wanted them to mesh more than they actually did.
I think so. Yeah. So, I don't know. I look at it as I'm hoping, I don't know how obviously everything plays out now with the general contracting side, what that'll turn into, but I feel like there was a lot of lessons that I learned just being in real estate that I'm going to be carrying over to SITO. Mm-hmm. So I almost feel like God was like, hey, I need you to take a detour. It's not going to be fun, but there's a whole reason for why you're there, and then I'm going to bring you back to the trades. So
yeah, I mean they called you do the CrossFit, what do they call it, like cross training?
yep,
Where basketball player he trains as a boxer.
yep,
Starts working different muscles. He just had to spark those sides of the brain.
yep.
So, well, dude, congrats, man.
Thanks. All right, and then we're going to dive into that a little bit more later, because even on the real estate, when I was getting into real estate, and then when I was doing the same thing to get the general contractor's license, talking to people about, all right, how much did it cost? What did I have to do? There's a lot of people where they've been in business for so long that I was asking that they're like, dude, it's been so long, I honestly don't remember. So while it's fresh in my brain, we're going to go over the steps that I went through. So these are just for me. If you can learn something from it, great, but this is not advice for whatever, you get it. And then I'm going to also talk about how much I spent on those things, and they're going to be probably approximate numbers. I tried to be pretty accurate and look at some of the bank statements, but depending on the vendor you go through, that's what it'll be. But before that, it's been a couple weeks. What have you been up to?
It has. Just getting through the holidays. Got the Christmas lights up for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've owned like 4 or 5 different houses, which theoretically, you put all the things in place so when you put up your Christmas lights the year after, it's a lot faster. But if you move too many times, it's not that.
Yep.
Yeah, but it took a little longer, so we finally got the Christmas lights up. So next year will be a little better too. Next year I will probably need to borrow a bigger ladder from you because the top side of the house does not have lights, but it still looks fine.
Yeah.
So it still looks good, but I would like to eventually. I've always wanted one of those houses that has a lot of Christmas lights.
Yeah.
Although I do want to we spoke about this before, the permanent lights.
Oh, yeah.
I do want to look into that.
Yeah.
Because those things look sick.
Yeah. We've got them on that big house that the general contractor I work for, that they're wrapping up right now. Mm-hmm. It's pretty badass.
Yeah. Yeah, because I just want to throw an old school party. Mm-hmm. And then have my entire house lights flashing to whatever music is playing inside until the HOA or whatever fucking Karen's come and yell.
Yep.
That'd be fun. Yeah, but no, Christmas lights, doing Christmas shopping. We say it
You about all done with that?
No, we say it every year that we're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna get a head start because you bought like one gift.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we are.
Yep.
So we still gotta do all that stuff.
Right now, I don't have any family Christmas shopping because we're my side of the family, we're gonna go up north for like an Airbnb this weekend, and nice. We decided instead of getting presents for everybody, we're just gonna pitch in to
where up north?
Pay for that, like Munns Park outside of Flagstaff.
Oh, nice. Is it snowing up there yet?
I don't know. I should check.
I mean, it's kind of usually Munns Park it does snow, not heavy like Flagstaff, but
it's pretty close to Flagstaff.
Yeah.
It's like right outside of it. Mm-hmm. So,
you guys have any activities planned out there?
I'm sure that the family has some stuff they want to do, and in my mind, I'm like, I just want to chill.
Roast some chestnuts?
Yeah, no, probably not.
By an open fire?
Yeah.
You're going to make sweet passion of love in the snow?
In the snow, no.
Oh, that'd be hard. But yeah. Dude, yeah, Christmas lights, dude, this has been the highlight. Getting those up.
Yeah. We went and looked at Christmas lights. There's a neighborhood in Moon Valley where they have a competition every year. Mm-hmm. So the wife and I drove through there, and they actually have it where the HOA, I think it's the HOA, will come and judge the lights on the houses, and they hand out prizes.
Oh, really?
And they will rank the houses. Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool. So there's like buses that'll drive through there. There were when we were going through on Monday, I forget what. There were truck beds full of like kids in the back that the parents are driving them through the neighborhoods. Just like, it's pretty cool because those people have a little bit of money over there, so they
Yeah.
They get into it with those Christmas lights.
Although I did finally spot my neighbor. So I've been living in my house almost a year, 10 months or whatever. Neighbor to the right was in there before us. Mm-hmm. The neighbor to the left was supposed to close like 2 weeks after us, but like the day that they were supposed to sign papers, that we're talking to the sales guy, they just backed out of it and just left like 18 grand on the table and walked away.
Okay.
So our neighbor to our left, we don't have neighbors to our left.
Yep.
It probably has something to do with me though. Every time throughout college, because college, it's not like high school where you have like assigned seating kind of bullshit. You show up, I swear to God, there could be fucking 4 seats left in this entire thing. I guarantee you, I'd have 2 right next to me wide open. I swear, dude, on everything, all the time. And then now, nobody wants to live to the left of us, and then the house in front of us, nobody lives in. But I finally spotted the neighbor.
Yeah.
And I didn't even, their lights on. I've seen a garage door open. Never really seen even cars go in and out. I just know that somebody lives there because there's lights on. I finally saw him pulling out. I was on like my hands and knees because I was picking out weeds because we were doing the things or whatever. And I saw it open and I just stood there. Like I was just on all fours. And then I just stood there like this, like waiting. And they pulled out and then they sat in the driveway looking forward, wouldn't look over. I'm like, fuck, look. And they finally looked over and I waved. And they waved and smiled. They're super nice. Older couple. Yeah. But finally fucking spotted them. So that was a win.
That's hilarious.
I was just curious on who the hell we were living next to.
Yeah.
Because they had a big old gazebo built in the backyard too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they might not like us. Our kids are freaking loud, dude. So.
Do you want to hear about a loss from this weekend?
Yeah. It's not anything like your birthday celebration.
No, not like that.
Okay, yeah.
No, this is... have you been to Chili's recently?
It's been a long time since I've been to Chili's, except for like 3 months ago, I met a lender over there, and that was the first time in over a year.
Okay. I went with the wife this weekend because she's like, hey, like, there's a Chili's just on the corner, like, across from where we live, so, like, let's go over. I was like, all right, sure. Like, I was not hungry that day. I had eaten huge lunch, so I was like, I'm just going to get something small. So
the queso dip with the little, like, sausage.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Their chips and salsa in the past have been the bomb. Like, they're up there in terms of my rankings. So we got some chips and salsa. I was like, man, it's just not hitting tonight. And then I was like, I'm just not hungry at all. Give me some boneless wings just so I can be with the wife and just chew on something.
Boneless?
Yeah.
I thought you were a man, dude.
It depends on where you're at. If you're at like a place that serves real wings, then yeah. If we're going to Polana's Pizza, we're getting the bone-in spicy honey barbecue.
Polana's Pizza. Not a lot of people know about that when I talk to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's probably because it's a Buffalo Bills bar, but...
Doesn't matter. Get in there, get that spicy honey barbecue wings, and yeah, go bone in. The
pizza's good.
That too, dude.
Yeah.
Anyways, so they bring out... I'm never getting boneless wings at Chili's again because they bring out like the... it looks like KFC chicken poppers. They're about this big with like no sauce, barely any sauce on them. Like if the sauce was on them, they almost washed it off.
Oh, really?
Dude, I was...
My biggest pet peeve with boneless wings is that there's so much effing bread.
Yeah.
There's more bread than chicken. I'm like, dude, go to the store, grab some dino nuggets, throw some wing sauce on there, and give it to me. You know, like... Have you
had Barrow's boneless wings?
No, I don't do boneless wings.
Okay.
My wife does, but I refuse to eat them.
Yeah. I feel like Barrow's does a pretty good job.
Yeah. I mean, we've had this conversation off the air. It's called Barrows.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. No.
I'm never going to change that.
Do wings. No, I usually always do like buffalo wings.
Yeah.
Just normal buffalo wings because I tend to go with the barbecue chicken pizza.
Yeah.
It's too much barbecue with the wings and stuff. So that's probably why I like their barbecue chicken pizza. It's because of the barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
And on the wings, probably delicious.
You find out next time. Oh, also, I made a mistake this weekend at a side job.
Did you want to tell the story while you just got your contractor license?
Well, this is how like you handle a mess up.
Oh, okay.
So it was a friend of my wife's. They are doing a baby's room, and they wanted paint done and wallpaper done in there, along with some trim work. So to do the wallpaper, you need to smooth out the texture on the walls, all that stuff. So smoothed out the texture, put the trim on, painted some of the walls, came back this Saturday to paint the trim and do the wallpaper, and I was going to spray it, just like your house. Mm-hmm. And I sprayed it on there and went to lunch, came back from lunch, and it was starting to crack. The paint was cracking in a couple places. So I was like, what the heck is this? So I called Larry.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, dude, I did something. And he's like, okay. I explained it to him. He's like, bro, you probably sprayed it on way too thick. Well, and then on some of the areas, there might not have been, I think I did some touch-ups on primer that might not have dried all the way. And so it started just having those small surface cracks. So I was like, all right, like, what do I need to do? He's like, all right, you need to sand it down and then essentially do it again. Like on the drywall areas, sand it a little bit, re-drywall it, and then repaint it. I'm like,
what grit sandpaper do you use? Or do you use like a sponge?
No, so the drywall's like it's painted at this point.
Yeah,
the
no, I'm saying
painted,
like,
so
what do you use to sand off the paint?
No, I re-drywalled all the drywall areas, and then I took 80 grit sandpaper on the wood and sanded it down.
Oh fuck,
dude. So the first half of the I'm supposed to finish the job this past Saturday. I spent the second half of the day essentially trying to get back to where I started at the beginning of that day. I asked Larry, I'm like, hey, do you have time to come paint this for me? Because I am not going to have time to do it. And he's like, I can be there Monday with a guy and we can take care of it. So I'm like, sweet, that'd be great. So Saturday, got the whole thing re-drywalled, sanded down, came Monday morning, finished prepping it for him, all that stuff. He came in Monday, sprayed it, looks great, and then I hung all the wallpaper yesterday. So the picture's up on Instagram right now if you guys want to check it out. So it turned out great. I'm super happy with it, but it was just like having to go to the customer and be like, hey, here's the wall. It looks great, but when you get close to it, there's cracking in it. That's not acceptable to me. I'm going to fix this.
Yeah,
so
dude, screw painters. They make that shit look so easy, like effortless.
Oh my gosh.
Like even when they handle guns, it's like, oh yeah, all you got to do is this, this, this. If you try it yourself, it does not go that smoothly.
No. Yeah.
At
so
all.
For now, I've sworn off spraying.
Yeah. I mean, I had a paint issue too, because you know how I painted the lids for the Halloween buckets?
Yep.
I spray painted them or whatever. Well, I was like, oh, well, I got an extra black one, so I started like being way too anal and like color coordinating them.
Yeah.
So I made some blue ones, the Easter ones, so we know which one was Easter.
Yeah. Just by
Thanksgiving, yeah, and then we have a bunch of red ones, but any ones that had the yellow ones, like the what are the ADX, the ones you get HDX ones, yep. I spray painted those. But even I fucked up. Ah, dang it! I said the F word.
You said it like 4 times this podcast.
Have I really?
Oh,
I thought I said the freak.
No. You said the F word. And
I wonder how much I actually curse in front of my kids.
I think it's a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, I had a lot of the same cracking and the shriveling on a lot of them.
Yep.
And then one of them, I tried to like take it off, but I had to take off all of it, and I'm still working on it and retrying. So like there's like 4 or 5 bins where like the paint's on good, the spray and stuff, but like there's just like cracks and stuff all over. You can't see it because I put enough paint in it, but it's still like smooth and look really nice. But yeah, that's why I hate paint.
Yeah. Well, at least no one's paying for it. In my case, I had people who it's like, oh, here's the other kicker. The customer, the gentleman, he does woodworking. Mm-hmm. And if you're doing woodworking, those guys are super precise with all their stuff. Everything has to just be dialed in. Yeah. So I knew going in, this guy is going to be looking at the details. And I was I need to make sure that this looks good. And when that happened, I was like, oh, dear God. But we got it fixed. And
so did you tell him what happened?
Oh, yeah.
You brought him in and was like, hey, this is messed up, so I got to fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I didn't want them to find it. I didn't want any of that. And it was...
Did you tell him, be like, I'm having my painter guy come in and just knock it out?
Yep. I told him as well, I'm bringing him in. This is going to be no cost to you guys. This was my mistake, so I'm taking care of that. So I try and honor the price that I give to people is the price they pay at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so there's like if there's small additions sometimes to a job, I try and let it go. Or if it's taking me extra time than I thought it would, unless we're on a time and material basis, like if I give you a fixed price for something, I don't want to come back to you and say, hey, like I screwed up. We need to fix
it's not
this.
like they're asking you to do something else, So.
Right. And I made a commitment to them. So for me, it's just that's just a part of the integrity where it's like, no, we just gotta get it taken care of.
All right. Well, I think that's enough about us.
Yep.
Let's talk. Oh, yeah. Let's get hammered.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sledgehammers in the Office podcast, where we celebrate the heavy hitters on the job site and in the office. Today, I'm joined, as usual, by MasonOxendale. What are we drinking, sir?
Rockstar Recovery. Usually try not to drink caffeine this late, but I got still got more shit I need. I gotta stop cursing, dude. I got more stuff I gotta do, including stop cursing.
And then, as always, Shamrock Farms chocolate milk, the whole milk, because it's the best. And right now,
it's pure, it's great tasting.
Yep.
Milk in every pore.
At Fry's, if you go in there at the one on 83rd and Deer Valley tonight, and you use promo code SITO, and then scan your Fry's card.
Get 50 cents off?
You can get 2 for $7. All right. We're going to go over our numbers real quick. This is going to be for Arizona, the greater Phoenix area, so that you guys can kind of track what's going on inside of real estate and then inside of building materials. So current active homes, we have 11,551, which I was honestly a little surprised at that number. Just we have a decent inventory, especially going into the new year. Closed numbers, 3,869. We talked about that last time. Should be pretty similar. That's a little lower than last year, but we understand. Interest rate, wow, my voice is not doing too well. Interest rate is at 6.82%. A lot of people are talking about, interest rates are at 8% right now, right? Nope. We've seen the interest rates come down a little bit, but we're going to get into that in a second. 2x4s, 318, that stayed the same. Plywood. We talked about this last week. I think it was around $16 a sheet. It is right now $28.65. So it has jumped within like 2 or 3 weeks by, what was that, $14, something like that.
You know that piece of plywood that you left in my house?
Yeah.
That we don't have a receipt for?
I have a receipt for it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not asking you for it.
Okay.
Do you think that if I just take it to Home Depot and be like, hey, I don't have a receipt for this extra piece, can I return it? That
I can email you the receipt.
They'll give me the current price back instead of what you paid for it.
Possibly.
Pocket a little $14 right there.
No, that sheet of plywood when I bought it was $100.
Yeah, it's not normal plywood.
All right. Let's talk about the interest rates real quick. This is something, like we said, it becomes a topic of conversation for the holidays, whether it's at Thanksgiving, Christmas, or New Year's. So we want to talk to you guys a little bit about what's going on. There's people who are saying 8%, and they're wrong. So Mason, talk to us about what is going on with the interest rate currently, what's going on a little bit in that realm, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I believe it's been a week, maybe 2 weeks. It's probably been only about a week.
It's 2 weeks since
2
we
weeks.
met.
No, but I'm talking about since interest rates have dropped.
Okay, go ahead.
Because we got all the way up to 8%, flirted around 7-9.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, boom, it dropped a full percent 2 weeks ago. We were in the 6.97%. And now we've dropped even more to 6.82%. So no interest rate on 8%. They are 6.8.
We're sub 7.
Which is nice. Haven't seen those numbers since when I bought the house. But also, too, I mean, I don't want to go too in depth with all the crazy stuff because the Feds met tonight, and it looks like they're going to keep steady the Fed's rate. They're not moving it up or down, which is good since that would be 5 straight months. For about 5 months, it stayed the same, and that's correlating for what was it? Where do I have it? March of 22 is when they started. The Fed started hiking back up the rates, and that's when we've seen their rates go all crazy and stuff. But there's a lot of things that go into it, including inflation. So usually, as inflation drops, so does interest rates. Back in July, inflation was at 9%. Now we're all the way down to 3.1%. But Feds do want to see that around 2%, so we're not fully there yet. Hence why they have not dropped it, but kept it the same. But that drop in inflation usually leads to a decrease in interest rates, but it didn't. It actually made it go higher. Without going too much into the weeds, I mean, I don't want to put the president on blast, but I mean, Biden passed a law, or not a law, or some kind of bill or something that took off the cap for debt to allow people just to keep spending more and more money, which more money was out there, which caused interest rates to stay higher, essentially. And then they started, being a little more harsher with your credit score and stuff, which also, again, kept the interest rates higher. So essentially, the only way to get the interest rates back is to take out the money that you put in, which I don't think you can do. Also, is we're banking on the Feds to start investing again into, what do they call it, mortgage-backed security loans, because that is what's directly going to affect the interest rate. But I think that we're also just seeing from July, where the inflation was at 9, now it's down to 3. I think we're just starting to reap those benefits to get the lower interest rates. Plus, the Feds keeping the rate the same is good signs. And everything that came out of the meeting was talking about there's going to be potentially 3 to 4 Fed decreases this year, which will ultimately lead to get those interest rates even lower. Yeah. I've heard people even say into like the 4s. I don't know how realistic that is.
Yeah, that seems a little bit like wishful thinking.
Exactly, but I do think that, over the next 6 months, we're going to be in that period where the interest rate's going to be, for a while we were in that 7 range. I think we're just going to be in that range where it's going to be volatile. It's going to be maybe going up, going down. Nobody knows what it's going to do.
Yep. Which, and a big part of that is, too, going to be, I know there's a lot of people who are watching to see how the spending goes just in general with the Christmas season right now.
Which, I mean, you don't want to bank on the government making the proper decisions. But hopefully that's why the Feds kept it the same, because they forecasted it's not going to get any worse.
Yep.
But then again, if everybody else is like me, where they buy their Christmas presents last minute, it could skyrocket a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah.
We'll keep tracking it as we have updates for you guys. We'll let you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Especially if you're looking to buy a house. Or if you're like me, refinance.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrap up the podcast. We still have a ways to go, but with talking about the process to become a general contractor. And this is going to be, to the best of my memory, the experience that I went through, and then we're going to try and throw some numbers onto this. So I'm going to have Mason with our trusty whiteboard here, showing all our video people some numbers along the way as far as the totals go. So I'm going to assume that whoever I'm talking to has the necessary experience for getting the license they're going for. Each section, if it's a general contractor, a licensed electrician, HVAC, plumber, whatever it is, they need to have a minimum time worked in that field to become a qualifying party. So I'm going to assume that you have that. First thing you're going to want to do is set up an LLC. That's going to be going to the Arizona Corporation Commission. Just look it up online, Arizona Corporation Commission. Form an LLC. You can look into how that's supposed to be formed on other YouTube pages or even just other financial experts, not us. From what I remember, I set up an LLC for $85 and had everything approved within 24 to 48 hours. So $85 for the LLC. That brings our total to
$85.
Cool. After that, you're going to want to go get an EIN number with the government. That's going to be through, I believe, the IRS. So if you go to the IRS website, you can sign up for an EIN number with the LLC that you have just created. That's going to be for your tax purposes.
It's essentially a social security number for your business.
Exactly. Cool. And then that was, if I remember correctly, it was around $100. So that's one of them that I'm a little fuzzy on, which brings our total now to
$185 to get the necessary ingredients to just say you have a business.
Well, there's one more,
and that's saying not saying you can do anything with it.
Well, the one other thing is going to be a business bank account.
That is true.
That is more going to be if you have money on hand to be able to put into the business bank account. So I did all of that online. You can go to a branch and do that, all that good stuff. So as long as you have the money to put into it, usually your bank's not really going to charge you for that. So we left that blank. Then we go to, you're going to have 2 tests that are required for your licensing. And we're just going to talk about general contractors. So for a general contractor's license, the first one's going to be a rules and regulations test, and then the other one's going to be a trade specific. So the rules and regulations test, it can be, I did mine online. There are review sheets that are super helpful, and if you know how to use them, you can get through this course pretty dang quickly. If I remember correctly, this cost about $300. All the material that I needed for this was downloadable in like PDFs. And then they had like the study resources at the end. So that was $300, which brings our total to
$300. I was just going to add up all of the test stuff that you need.
Oh, well,
yeah.
With the rules and regulation test, the EIN, and the LLC, we're at $485.
All
right, and then we're going to move on to going towards the trade specific. You're going to need to get books for this. The ones that you're going to need that I found the most helpful are going to be the OSHA rules, the International Residential Code, and then the International Building Code. I went through a company to help with the prep for this, which we'll get into in a second. But when they sell the books to you, they offer to sell you tabs and a highlighter. You can buy the highlighters on your own if you want, but the tabs themselves, buy them because they are the official ones that will be allowed in the test center. If you have the wrong notes in your book, if you have notes written down in your book at the test center, they will look through it. If they see it, they have you tear that page out, and hopefully you do not need that page. So use the approved tabs. Otherwise, if it's the wrong tab, they'll have you tear it out. So let's see, where are we at? Books. I think I had trade specific and books all together. I forget. No,
you got it separate.
Okay.
So to establish your business, plus to get all the proper stuff to study for your test, you're looking at $1,235.
Yeah, those books are pretty expensive, and that was an estimate. It may have been, the prep and books may have been more like $1,000 altogether. So add $250 to that. Just that's our margin of error right now. The trade specific course, you get 1 month of an online, you get a 12-month subscription to go use their on-site study center, which is essentially just the same thing as their online. So there's literally no difference. They're going to be teaching you how to use your books, and the way they do that is they have a question for you. And on some of the practice questions, they have, here's where you can find it in the book, and they're teaching you where to go. Start highlighting those areas where you need to go, because they'll tell you where it is. And on the practice test and then on the real test, they don't show you where to go in the book to find it. You need to know off the top of your head. So get comfortable knowing where it is. you're not going to learn anything. So if you think I'm going to go learn to be a general contractor here, this is not what you are doing. You are demonstrating that you have the capability already to be a general contractor. And a big part what they're testing for is, can you use the books to make sure you're in compliance with all the codes and things like that. Anyways, they talk about not memorizing anything and just using your book. I honestly find it helpful to memorize things. You need to know how to use your book. But at the end of the day, if you can get one or two more questions on the test, even just by having memorized an answer or two, that's a huge win. So for me, it's if I get an annotation on a question I know I got wrong, I'll go maybe write it down in a note that, hey, this is a section or something I need to work on, stuff like that. I've even created audio notes for myself based off of that. So that's the course. You want to be testing, take the practice test, score in the 90s 2 times, and that's going to be with the no notations, then go schedule your test. At the trade-specific test, that's going to be at a testing center, so bring your books. I brought extra sheets of paper. I brought a calculator. I brought pencils. I brought all that stuff, and they're like, nope, you get to take your books in. We have a pencil for you. We have scratch paper. We have a calculator for you. It's not bad to bring those things just in case, but that was the experience I went through. The test for that was $300, which brings our total to
$1,686.
Okay. Different than my numbers on the spreadsheet. Did you change it?
You added it.
Okay.
You added the spread in.
Gotcha. Okay. And then after that, once you've completed the trade-specific test, you're going to get a certificate saying, congratulations, you did this. Both the tests get a certificate that are valid for 2 years. So even if you didn't want to sign up right away or you needed time to put money together or stuff like that or whatever it is, they're good for 2 years. Now you get to go and start doing your application, which is going to involve getting a background check with the state. And for me, there was a 2-day turnaround on that. Sometimes people on background checks with common names, it'll take longer. So on the background check, we were looking at...
I just rounded up $21.
Okay, what do we got?
So we have establish your business.
Yep.
Test material.
Yep.
Pass the test.
Yep.
You're looking at $2,006.
Alrighty. And then we're going to be getting the bond. So people talk about being licensed, bonded, and insured. So you need to have your license and bond at the same time. So to get the bond, there's as you're going through the application, they have certain vendors that they recommend that you can work with that they vetted, I guess, and say, hey, these are the guys that are good to work with, and they give you the amount that you're going to need on coverage for your bond based on what you're estimating with your business, and then you go purchase that. So for the one I went for, according to what I was given, the bond cost $300, which brings our total to
$2,314.
Yeah, because I think it was 300 and change.
I rounded up your change.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Cool. So after that, you're going to keep on going through your application. And then the application, you're going to want all your paperwork together. So all those certificates, they get sent to you electronically. Keep all this stuff in a labeled folder that you know where it is on your computer so you can upload it. You're going to need to upload a picture of your driver's license. You're going to need to upload the bond information. You're going to need to, you're just going to need all that stuff. And the reason why it's really important is because I finished my application once I got my background check back on a Saturday morning. And they said it takes usually 25 to 30 days to process everything. I had the certificate from the ROC that Monday by 3 p.m. saying you are now registered with the ROC. Here's your ROC number, all that good stuff.
Because you had all your shit together.
I had all my shit together. I uploaded everything correctly, and we were good to go. So that's why. Make sure all your ducks are in a row. You have to pay an application fee with the state of $1,050, which now brings our total to
$3,364. So $3,300 out the door to take it to establish a business, take a test, pass it, and get all the documents submitted so you legally
are a licensed and bonded general contractor.
Boom. But
now,
wait.
There's more. There's licensed, bonded, and insured. The state takes care of licensed and bonded for you out the door. The last one is insured. This is the one that I've been working through today. I actually signed my paperwork for this today. So insurance should be kicking in January 1st for all this. Then we can say we're licensed, bonded, and insured over at SITO. Insurance is going to be based off of the amount of work that you expect to do in the year. So sometimes for certain companies, there's minimums on that as far as, hey, we have a minimum price that you can pay for your general liability insurance. That's going to be the big one that you're going to need. So the one that I signed up for is going to be off of $250,000, and I think this is high, but it's more of a safeguard that rather than being too low and having to fix things, they talk to your insurance person about it with all the details, but we went off of an expectation of $250,000 just based on some conversations I've had, wanted to make sure that everything was protected correctly. That came out to $3,300. Now, on top of that, we have an umbrella policy.
Now, is that something that you need to be insured, or is that something that you did like a little extra safety guard?
It should be just an extra safety guard. Some companies are going to ask that you have it. So it was more just I wanted to have all my ducks in a row.
Yeah, have it to be ready for anything.
Exactly. And for that one, I got quoted at like $850 for that. So that would be licensed, bonded, and insured. Putting all those numbers together, I know Mason is working on that as quickly as he can. So.
Yeah. Well, we changed up numbers, so now they're not here.
Yeah. Where are we at?
$7,514.
All right. So the general liability payment can be broken up. So you'd have essentially, it's going to get paid out like your car insurance throughout the year. You'd have an initial deposit and then get to pay it out. So you don't need to have all that money up front. But if you do want to pay everything up front, we're looking at the number like Mason said. The last thing, this one is not required, but we've talked about this in episodes before. If you don't have a website, sometimes it seems like you do not exist. So I highly recommend it. And the reason why is I was a little intimidated by this a little bit, just getting into it to see, did I want to do it myself? Did I want someone else to do it? Had someone tell me, hey, you can do this yourself. Here's where I did it. So went to Squarespace to set it up, got the domain that I wanted, and then got the website all put together, and all of that came out to $210 for the year. So that one is going to be a subscription fee, and then that is going to bring our grand total to go from I am someone who's been in the trades for a long time, I want to start my own business, to being a licensed general contractor. If following that path, I arrived at a total of
$7,724 to be fully established, licensed, bonded, and insured contracting business.
Yep.
Now we'll make a note too. You have to have a website. Your social media page is not your website. Those should be used. Those should be utilized to drive traffic to your website.
Yep.
Or more to call your freaking phone number.
At the end of the day, you're trying to get leads to convert. There's some people who are going to look you up online. There's some people who are going to look you up on social media. Some people go from social media to looking you up as a website. And if they can't find you as a website, are you legit? Are you real? What kind of stuff are you doing? Make it easy on them.
Or even if you word of mouth.
Yep. Well, that too.
Yep. So like I had a lead from a family member, one of his best friends, and called him, talked to him about listing a house or whatever. And before I was given the call at nighttime on whatever, let's say Tuesday, I called Wednesday afternoon. Mm-hmm. And by that time, the guy had already. I mean, his best friend recommended me. He already said that he looked me up.
Yep.
And he went through all my different stuff.
Yep.
And made a comment about my new website, which was nice. But I mean, like, yeah, word of mouth, definitely old school way. I do think that's also one of the best ways to grow a business. But you also people got to be able to find you.
Yep. So, we're going to be making the announcement on social media.
Hold on. Sorry, I missed your intro. But what's the website called? Did you say it and I missed it?
No, I was going to.
You had a spiel?
Not really.
Okay.
The website is SITOIGcontracting.com. www.SITOIGcontracting.
SITOIGcontracting.com? That's it?
Yeah.
Cool.
January 1st, we should officially be licensed, bought, and insured, so we'll be making the announcement on social media then. We appreciate the people who listen to the podcast, so we want to make the announcement here more publicly first. So yeah, we're super excited. We've got an episode next week before we take a break for Christmas and New Year's, and then we're going to be hitting the ground running. So,
yep, it's going to. I want to say it is our next year's podcast. I mean, the podcast is going to be a little different.
Yep,
and you'll find out next week. Hence, why we kind of.
I thought we told everyone already.
Well, we probably did, but they probably didn't listen to the episode.
We haven't teased all of it because there's one more thing we're going to tease next week with. No, did we tell them about the addition? I think we already told them that someone's joining our podcast.
I don't think we did.
I thought we did. If not, then we'll say the name next week.
Yeah.
All right, but someone's going to be joining our podcast in the new year. We'll tell you who it is next week. We've got something that we've been working on for probably it's been in the works for a couple months. We haven't been like hands-on with it for a couple months, but we've got that next week that we're super excited to show you guys.
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool. You're going to be able to hands-on watch the journey. Is going to be more business related also.
Yep.
As we talk about.
We're trying to get more transparent with what we're doing. And make it where if someone wants to follow along, they can. Mm-hmm. So we're
doing it. We're not just like what Thad did to himself, where he kept telling himself that it was greener on the other side, or gave other people good information but didn't follow it himself.
Yep.
We're giving you information, and you can follow along and find out if we're full of shit.
That is...
Which is 50-50 at this point.
Yep. Thank you guys for listening to the podcast. We appreciate you guys doing that. That's why we wanted to make the announcement here first. January 1st, everything should be licensed, bought, and insured. We'll be making that announcement social media. We're super excited for where the podcast is going with next week and then next year, just the stuff that we're trying to plan with that. Starting in January, we're going to be looking to do 2 podcasts a month. We'll have a guest on and then our regular show. So we're going to try and be doing fewer shows, but trying to put better information into our shows. And then obviously we've got our guests, which are...
I like it.
Dude, I love having our guests on. So, yeah.
There we go.
Until next time.
Hope your hammer stays accurate.
Your Wi-Fi fast.
And your work blessed.
See you, everybody.
Blah, blah. Is it good to make a gun noise after you do the... whatever that's called? That's a Catholic thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.